Let me talk about the hardest issue here in Michigan is the Middle East. And I have to be careful what I say because there's only one president at a time and none of us can get ahead of where we're going. But I think we're going to have to essentially start again on the peace process. And I understand why young Palestinian and Arab Americans in Michigan think too many people have died. I get that. But if you lived in one of those kibbutzim in Israel, right next to Gaza, where the people there were the most pro-friendship with Palestine, most pro-two-state solution of any of the Israeli communities, were the ones right next to Gaza. And Hamas butchered them. And so then the people who criticize it are essentially saying, yeah, but look how many people you've killed in retaliation. So how many is enough for you to kill to punish them for the terrible things they did? That all sounds nice until you realize, what would you do if it was your family and you hadn't done anything but support a homeland for the Palestinians, and one day they come for you and slaughter the people in your village? You would say, well, you'll have to forgive me, I'm not keeping score that way. It isn't how many we've had to kill, because Hamas makes sure that they're shielded by civilians. They'll force you to kill civilians if you want to defend yourself. And look, I worked on this hard. And the only time Yasser Arafat didn't tell me the truth was when he promised me he was going to accept the peace deal that we had worked out, which would have given the Palestinians a state on 96% of the West Bank and 4% of Israel, and they got to choose where the 4% of Israel was. So they would have the effect of the same land of all the West Bank. They would have a capital in East Jerusalem. They would have I can hardly talk about this. And they would have equal access all day, every day, to the security towers that Israel maintained all through the West Bank up to the Golden Heights. All this was offered, including, I will say it again, a capital in East Jerusalem and 2 of the 4 quadrants of the old city of Jerusalem, confirmed by the Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and his cabinet. And they said no. And I think part of it is that Hamas did not care about a homeland for the Palestinians. They wanted to kill Israelis and make Israel uninhabitable. Well, I got news for them. They were there first. Before there was, their faith existed, they were there. In the time of King David, and the southernmost tribes had Judea and Samaria. But the whole fight that you have seen played out was present in the beginning for Israel. 2 parties, Likud and Labor. Likud says, we want the whole West Bank because we had it in the time of David, and to heck with whoever came later and other things. Labor said, we will take what the United Nations has offered us and we will make a garden in the desert. And we will have friends and we will work through it. And they did. David Ben-Gurion. They're still fighting this fight today. And so here's what I want to tell you. I'm going to do everything I can to convince people that they cannot murder their way out of this, neither side. You can't kill your way out of this. And they have to make a new beginning. But when I read that people in Michigan are thinking about not voting because they're mad at the Biden administration for honoring his historic obligation to try to keep Israel from being destroyed, I think that's a mistake. Because Donald Trump has shown what he wants. And I don't think it's, and he claims it's good for Israel, but I don't think it is. I think we still have to find a way to share the future. We cannot kill our way out of conflicts. But we do have to fight our way to safety. And make no mistake about it, we've got now Iran, a Shia state, the Hezbollah, a Shia sect, the Houthis, a Shia sect, now with Hamas, a Sunni Arab operation, united in thinking the only thing that we have to do is run every Jew out of Israel. And I'm sorry, but I'm not for that. I think that is wrong. It violates everything we've stood for. And in the end, it won't be good for the Palestinian people. I'll never forget Arafat, when he promised me he was going to take this deal we worked out. He always was fighting with Prime Minister Barak, and I said, wait a minute. I said, do you think I care about the Palestinian children? And he said, oh, much more than the Arabs do. He said, they only care about us when they need to blame America and Israel for their people being upset in the streets. This is far more complicated than you know. And all I ask you to do is to keep an open mind. But Kamala Harris has said that she will try to negotiate an end to the violence, an end to the killing, and a new peace process. And that ought to be enough. Okay.